All right. So once again, you guys, thank you and welcome to Caltrans Core Connection Spring 2024 Session 5. My name is Russell Calvin. I am a recruitment analyst over here with Caltrans. I've been with the department or our recruitment team at Human Resources for about 2.5 years now. I originally started over in MSP, which is our managerial selection process. And now I am with the recruitment team, traveling up and down the state out of headquarters. My partner here is Megan Aziz. I'll go ahead and pass it over to her, let her introduce herself, so that way you guys can meet her, and then we will pass it over to our other special guest that we have today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan. I am also a recruitment analyst working with Russell out of the Department of Transportation. I've been with Caltrans for a little over a year, just celebrated my 1-year anniversary in March. My background, I graduated from California State University, Sacramento in 2020 with a degree in anthropology.
Cool. So today we are joined by the famous David Mann. Um, he is our subject matter expert today. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him. David, go ahead and give us a little introduction about yourself.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody, and good morning, Caltrans, and good morning to all those prospective graduates out there. I'm David Mann. I'm the division chief of traffic operations, and the question is, what do we do here in traffic ops? Number one, we oversee the operations of the state highway system. So we help facilitate the movement of cars, vehicles, trucks, and people across the entire state. And I'm currently overseeing the program here in Sacramento out of the headquarters division. And we work on policy, we do research, we provide guidance, and we do performance monitoring in a broad area of traffic operations and engineering. And our program is really the engine of Caltrans in terms of keeping things moving across the state. And some of the things that we're responsible for, and if you haven't seen it, for those that are driving around, you see those big changeable message signs, those message boards. The traffic operations program manages those and operates those. Some of the as you get on and off the freeways, you see those ramp meters that control flow onto the freeways. Those are systems that the traffic operations team here manages. And as I mentioned, I'm in Sacramento. We oversee the program as a whole. There are 12 districts in Caltrans that actually do the work on the ground, and each of those districts has a traffic operations team that's focused in that area. As far as the overall efforts that we're going to moving at looking at in the future, we're trying to integrate more technology to help us out. So as you see, there's a lot of infrastructure, there's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of elements in the ground, and as a whole, we want to make those more and more effective. And that's something that I'll talk about a little bit later today, but that's just want to give you a flavor of what traffic operations does and what are the things, some of my responsibilities. And just some as a clarity as well, there are multiple programs around the state. I'm focused on the traffic movement of vehicles, cars, trucks, and people. We do have a sister program called Division of Safety Programs. They actually do a lot of the traffic safety as well. So just want to put that out there. So appreciate it.
Cool. So on our agenda today, we'll talk a little bit about our department, similar to how David was talking about it right now. Who we are, what we do, opportunities we offer in transportation engineering. David's going to give us some insight on his position, how we got started with Caltrans, a couple of the cool projects he's been working on, and then we'll get into some details regarding our benefits, transportation engineering positions, pay scale, how to apply, and we'll finish up with a round of Q&A. For those of you who do have those questions, please go ahead and wait till the end of our session to begin asking them. You'll be able to drop those in the chat box as well. And our team will also be placing some helpful links inside that chat box. So be on the lookout as Megan kind of drops a couple of key things in there as we're talking through this session. And the session, like I said, will be recorded and a copy can get sent to you um, at the end of this. So with that being said, I'm going to play a quick little video for us, and you guys can kind of get a quick little background on us. Enjoy.
Ready to embark on a career that combines technology, innovation, and a positive impact on the environment and community? Look no further than Caltrans, the California Department of Transportation. Join us as we explore some of the state-of-the-art technologies that we are incorporating into our projects to engineer the future of transportation. Safety is our top priority. We believe that using drones is a game changer in ensuring safer roads for everyone. Surveying hazardous areas, inspecting bridges and tunnels, and assessing road conditions without putting workers at unnecessary risk is a great advantage. Our acquisition of state-of-the-art UAS unmanned aircraft system technology allows us to be in multiple places at once, access high-risk areas safely, and fly instantly from anywhere. We are one of the first departments of transportation in the nation to utilize this equipment. With over 100 trained drone pilots statewide, we are revolutionizing the way we utilize technology, allowing us to make informed decisions that lead to improved safety measures and faster response times. Piloting the use of augmented reality helps us to visualize a new roadway, structure, utility, or feature in the actual dimensional space upon which it will be built. We're work zone ready with well-equipped lighting on hard hats, ensuring the visibility of our field workers is not compromised and giving us the ability to assess work sites at all hours of the day. We aim to provide a safe and reliable transportation network that serves all people and respects the environment while honoring our values of engagement, equity, innovation, integrity, and pride. At Caltrans, your career options are limitless. We provide comprehensive job rotation programs, mentorship opportunities, and a supportive work environment that encourages personal and professional growth. Whether you're an aspiring engineer, a tech enthusiast, or a community-driven individual, Caltrans has a perfect path to start your career. Do yourself a favor. Come and join us. You would make us better.
All right. So as you guys could tell from the video, our opportunities are statewide. Working with Caltrans allows for diverse opportunities up and down the state of California, whether you prefer the mountains of Lake Tahoe or Yosemite, redwood rainforests, coastlines such as Big Sur, in some cases, the comfort of your own home, like myself today, we've got the opportunities for you. David, you said you're out of your home office now, finally, right? You've been traveling.
Yes, we've had opportunities in the state and out of state too. There's a lot of
Yeah,
national engagement. Yep,
cool.
absolutely.
Megan, you're back home, right? I'm assuming you didn't go into office
Nope,
today.
my humble
All right.
abode.
All right. So as David mentioned earlier, Caltrans is split up into 12 districts. Our department starts at the northern, starts from the Oregon border, stretching all the way down to where Mexico begins. So in the chat box, we always like to do this little quick poll. Which district are you all most interested in working in?
All right, right off the bat, I see a D7. All right. Oh, okay, now they're coming in. 11s. Lots of 11s. Few
I
6s. I think 11s and 6s are the most common so far.
was like, I saw a couple fours. I saw quite a few HQs. Saw some
Yeah.
some six.
Okay. Yeah. Headquarters is rolling right in. Good variety, honestly. D1 through 12 and HQ. Got it.
Yeah.
All
I mean, that's the beauty of working for us, honestly, because
yeah,
you can be in one district 1 year and see that, you know what, hey, there's an opening in another district and you can just kind of head down there. Or if you're fortunate enough like us, you get a little bit of travel so you can get a step away for a little bit and kind of experience some things in different districts. All right,
absolutely.
so Fun fact, Caltrans headquarters is in Sacramento, has the most employees, over 5,000 workers. This is followed by District 4 and District 7 with a little bit over 2,500 workers. All right. So our department's mission is to provide a safe and reliable transportation network that serves all people and respects the environment. Our vision is a brighter future for all through a world-class transportation network. Some of our goals include leading climate action, which we've been addressing by advancing complete streets and zero emissions vehicles, plotting new materials and new renewable fuels, and investigating nature based solutions along with a multitude of other strategies. We also aim to advance equity and livability in all communities by adopting new approaches focused on collaborative community and partner engagement, measuring impacts on public health, community vibrancy, and while prioritizing and investing in historically harmed and segmented communities. Um, David, you've been to District 4 office quite a bit, right?
Yeah, that's where I started my career actually in the Bay Area. Yes.
Okay, is it one floor or two floors dedicated to the electrical vehicles that you guys have that were in that building?
Right. Well, actually, it's been growing. There's more than more floors for electric vehicles, but yes, there's multiple areas in the building that we can charge the EVs now. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because I do know that whenever I go in there, they were like, "Oh, you can't park on these floors because that's where a lot of the charging stations are for the EV vehicles and stuff like that." And then I know you were talking about have you been to the Mets lab? Like some of
Yes,
the
a long
Mets lab?
time ago. Yep.
Have you
That's
seen the new stuff that they're doing with like the new smart aggregate that they're looking to put into the ground?
I have not seen that as that's one of the unique things. I'm an actual electrical engineer by background, so I did not have not spent much on pavement and materials, but the Mets tests other cool electrical items as well.
Yeah, so
Smart lights and
yeah,
smart controllers,
we had
cameras.
we had somebody, one of the electrical engineers from the Mets lab out in headquarters about 3 weeks ago. We personally did a tour with him, and he was showing us some of the smart electrical stuff that you guys are testing out there, and talking about some of the boards, and then also talking about how they're doing recycled water bottles and recycled tires and turning that into aggregate to use to fill potholes and certain things like that. So a lot of cool stuff like we were talking about, in terms of like being eco-friendly and being really innovative as well. All right. So now I'm gonna turn it over to David, and he's gonna discuss some time at Caltrans. It's gonna be a Q&A style type of a session. We got about 4 questions for David. You ready to kind of get going?
Sure, I was hoping for softballs, but go ahead.
All right. So, what made you choose Caltrans?
Well, that's not a softball. That's so long ago, but no, all jokes aside. I went to school down in San Diego at UCSD quite a while ago. And I actually started as an electrical engineering major. And I actually found that some of the engineering curriculums was pretty theoretical. A lot of calculations, analysis. It wasn't as hands-on as I thought. Um, and at some point in my career, I did college education career. I pivoted over to political science. Actually, I enjoyed the ability to read and write about public policy, decision making as a group, and having that understanding, that now broader landscape of how society needs government to facilitate their lives in general, provide what we call the public good that government agencies and governments provide as a whole. I've generated quite a bit of interest in government work, either at the federal or state level. And at some point, I ended my college career with 2 degrees in electrical engineering and political science, which is very helpful because of the ability to analyze and communicate from political science standpoint, but
Hmm.
also from the electrical engineering standpoint, how to design things, how to solve very complex problems that face society. And as a result, combined with my kind of childhood interests, and this is going into details, and this is probably dating me a little bit. I did play a few computer games back in the day. I played a lot of SimCity. a lot. And for those that know out there, it's kind of modeling and managing an entire city or region
I mean,
and transportation.
for those new kids, it's basically God, what's that game on the Switch, Megan?
Something blocks.
No, I think it's like something crossing.
Oh,
It,
yeah, I don't
they've
know.
got a new
Animal
game, Animal
Vivian in the
Crossing.
chat box says Animal Crossing.
Animal
There we go.
Crossing. It's basically Animal Crossing is what it is now.
I don't even know what a Switch is, so that's unfortunately that's how it's passed me by. But I was a mean computer user back in the day. On for those that remember, we were on dial-up and experienced the internet in a different world. But I think regardless, I think SimCity drove me and made me who I am, and understand that, hey, that's an interest. And guess what? As you get out of college, you you start looking at the landscape of opportunities. With background, you can continue to go to school, which is a great option. There is a lot of private sector opportunity, and at that time, fortunately, the department, Caltrans, was hiring, and they were looking for an electrical engineer, and I jumped at that opportunity, and I did some research as well. Um, and you've already mentioned it. The positions were, yes, in the Bay Area, but also around the state. There are a multitude of upward mobility options. There were opportunities to work in the field, which I mentioned. I told, hey, going to college was a little bit theoretical. It was a lot of books, but at the same time, Caltrans offered that opportunity because our work is out there outside, and that was very appealing. And of course, the training programs. So after doing that research, having some conversations, and then from a personal standpoint, obviously we do need to survive, and looking at the benefits and salary, that's a huge plus working for Caltrans and in state government. And that stability that you're seeing here, a lot of the Caltrans team has been here for quite some time. That is appealing to me. So that's why I'm here at Caltrans, and I started in the traffic area and got to work on a lot of interesting projects, and maybe I'll dive into that in the next question.
What you were talking about in terms of stability and stuff like that. I, I think there's a lot of students that are kind of seeing that. So I was down in Cal Poly Pomona a week and a half ago, and a couple of students were discussing the same thing with me. They were like, "Hey, I'm about to graduate, but all these companies I'm trying to apply, they're all laying off." But they were like, "It's weird because you're here hiring while everybody else is laying off," and that's kind of a little bit of the difference of that benefit of public sector versus private sector kind of a situation, and the stability aspect of it, and certain things like that. So it was
Yeah,
just kind of interesting hearing it, like that's just something that it continues throughout the years.
absolutely. And I think touching on the point is it's public good. And public
Hmm.
good is something that the private sector um, isn't as geared towards delivering, right? There's no incentive for them. So government will, for quite a long time, maintain, and the services that we provide are essential day to day. They
Hmm.
don't go away. So we're core in the fabric of society, as a transportation and people department, and so that's why we still exist, and there is that continual opportunity for us to work and provide and make a great living.
I mean, honestly, that's how I got my full-time position. There was that infrastructure push a couple years ago, about two years ago, and we were allotted a couple more jobs, and I had personally signed on as a limited term, and they were like, "Hey, we've got some positions open now because the government's giving us this infrastructure push, so we've got some positions. Do you want one?" And I was like, "Absolutely, sign me up." And at that time, I had just came from the private sector, so being able to get back into something like this was kind of great. So on to our next one. I know you didn't. You're back onto electrical engineering, as you said. So you didn't partake in the rotation program, did you?
Unfortunately not, but that's something that we hope to work on for the electrical and technology folks here at
Okay,
the department.
because I'm assuming you got some pretty good feedback, or like you've got a little bit of knowledge on that being in your current position now. right?
Yes.
In terms of friends that have gone through it and certain things like that. Can you speak to us a little bit about your career path? So you started off as an electrical engineer. You came in as a TEE, I would assume, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then what career path did you go, and how did Caltrans help you out in order to get to your current position as a CEA?
Yeah, that's gonna be a long story. We'll need a lunch here. No, I think you're right. I've been here at the department for about 17 years. Um, and as you mentioned, you're right. I started as a TEE, and I was fortunate to be assigned in operations. And the reason I say I was fortunate is that in operations, as you know, day-to-day traffic, keeping things moving, um, every day was exciting. Um, there were new challenges and situations that you're thrust upon to handle and address. And there are also opportunities to work with very challenging stakeholders. And it's not just your boss, but it's also the large Caltrans team. But more importantly, it's also the public. One of the things that I started a career early on was, working in on traffic signals, um, and traffic signals, that's the touch point of the public in Caltrans. Um, Everybody knows that, when a traffic signal's not working right, there's a lot of
Hmm.
frustrated and concerned citizens. And those were opportunities to get to know the frustrated, concerned citizens and elected officials. And so over those years, I built rapport to be able to work with these challenging stakeholders, customers, to make their situation better in a small scale. And as you mentioned, we got more transportation dollars. That we increased um, the projects to enhance our traffic signals, enhance our intelligent transportation, such as I mentioned, ramp meters and message signs. And I started working on more complex projects that touched not only the Caltrans system, the highway, and is for those that know that Caltrans mainly operates the freeway, and we have other main highways that go around the state, but that's only a small part of the transportation network. The street that your house is on is not a Caltrans roadway; it's a city street. But for transportation to work well, it needs to work with the city streets, the Caltrans
Hmm.
highways, the transit system that's out there, as well as big traffic generators like the Port of Oakland or the Port of LA,
Hmm.
um, malls, for example. And so I started working on these multi-jurisdictional cross-program projects through a lot of faith from the management team. And I was able to gain more than just electrical engineering experience. So you're able to gain traffic engineering experience, traffic analysis, project development. How do you get an idea and a concept that you want to improve a situation, get the funding for it, and then eventually build it and construct it, and then operate and maintain it. So I saw the whole project life cycle, and I was fortunate enough to be in a lot of these positions to really assist the management in selling the project, getting public buy-in for these projects, and as a result, I moved my way up through as a senior position to manage one of the most congested corridors in the Bay Area, I-80, with a lot of new technology. And then fortunately, I had a chance to be an office chief that kind of saw the whole Bay Area's region traffic and ITS. And now here in headquarters, I'm trying to bring together some consistency and good ideas for the entire state. So I'll just add to quickly, you know, as I was going through that, why did I continue to stay at Caltrans? Right, I was growing and learning, and there were opportunities maybe in front of me. Um, Number one, I think there was continued access to training and
Hmm.
continued access to new and challenging opportunities that if you really wanted to do it, um, I think the Caltrans leadership team would find ways to put talented individuals to really work on key projects and deliver. So I think the key is there was endless opportunities. I honestly don't, it's gone by so fast. I don't recall many slow days at Caltrans. There was always something to do. And so I think that's the stigma that I want to make sure that
Hmm.
everyone understands that, hey, look, this is not this is not typical government work. There's always a solution or need in this state that we could all work on together.
Now, throughout while you were kind of going through and getting promoted, um, you needed your PE, correct?
Yes.
Now, when you obtained your PE, how'd you go about it? Did the state help you pay for it, or did you go the route of you went and you paid for it yourself? What was that?
I think we had some access to some training materials and books that it was reimbursed. So I was fortunate to get a little bit of reimbursement. Um, I did through my experiences. I took my PE as soon as possible, so that helps out quite a bit. So I didn't go through as much of the classroom training for the PE as well. I think the electrical PE is a little different than the civil PE.
Hmm.
There's less topics, but it is still a very intense exam and something I strongly recommend. And actually, going through some of the projects that I worked on here at Caltrans actually does prepare you for the PE exam.
Yeah.
So on the job training and work, plus there were some opportunities for reimbursement for learning materials, really helped out, and I was fortunate to get my PE.
And
I must apologize, I almost forgot. It's been so long. Through that, I realized that if I wanted to be a CEA and take a leadership role, there's certain skill sets that are really necessary. And I actually joined the Mineta Transportation Institute and got my master's in transportation management from San Jose State. That's a program that's aligned with Caltrans. Caltrans just provides some support. It's actually held in, I think, in some Caltrans facilities. But it really prepared me
nice.
to become a leader in transportation and understanding the other factors and issues beyond just engineering and planning. They talk about marketing and communications
Yeah.
um, and strategic problem solving at a high level. So that's something that was helpful as far as my career too as well.
Yeah, and throughout all that, like you were saying, I think you touched on it real quick. Like Caltrans was able to kind of, at least partially reimburse you for some of these things that you're going through in terms of career development and career advancement, or even I guess you could say personal development, right? Like getting your master's degree and personally in like developing yourself to further your own education and potentially further your own career. They were able to kind of help you out and financially, so that way you're not carrying the full financial burden of something like that. So that's kind of cool to hear, because I know it's something that we do offer, but I'm always curious to see who actually takes advantage of that,
Yeah.
um, in
And
order
there's
to
also
advance them.
professional certifications too as well, not just the PE. Caltrans does help assist with some of memberships in professional organizations, which is another huge resource as well.
Okay, cool. So the actually, I'll we got time for both of them. Real quickly, what's your favorite project that you've done? Like favorite project that you've worked on, um, in the past, or it could be a current project. If you have something you can share with us, what do you got up your sleeves on this one?
So this is the thing about Caltrans. I was not expecting that question, but that's how it is here. Every day is different. Well, I'll say I'm gonna be honest about this one. I've worked on a lot of cool projects. But I think my favorite project that I've worked on was the I-80 Smart Corridor in Alameda, Contra Costa County. So if you drive I-80 in the Bay Area, and you see these giant overhead signs across the freeway that tells you which lane you need to be in, which lane's closed. You see these big color signs. Um, that was probably one of I would say, my favorite project. And
So
the reason was, oh, go ahead.
there's only a few of those signs, right? And I'm going to tell you why I'm asking. There's only a few of those signs, and correct me if I'm wrong. There's like maybe like four or five of those signs. They're all up here right now.
No, no, no. There's a lot of signs actually.
Okay,
You drive on the side of the road, just look carefully. You'll see through Berkeley, through Richmond, through El Cerrito, that whole general area. You'll see a lot of these big color signs. Um, and the reason that's my favorite, well, it's the first time we've ever done something like that. I I did not have much to lean on in terms of past experience, and so it was an opportunity for kind of a clean canvas to go, hey,
got you.
what can we do? And so there's a lot of creativity there within the rules and regulation. And the second big aspect, I made a lot of friends from the public sector. I worked with 10 cities and a lot of county agencies as well.
Hmm.
To this day, we are very closely aligned. So as well, so it's not about the technology and the projects. It's all about the people.
Yeah.
And when you get to work on projects at Caltrans, you meet a lot of different people, And probably my lasting memory is sitting in front of a city council meeting and taking a lot of very difficult questions and just standing there and being able to provide that clear, concise feedback and showing how we can help their community solve some of the challenges they have.
Got you. Yeah, maybe Brandon. We had an electrical engineer, and he was talking about pretty much it's basically the same thing. And that's I think he was saying maybe there was only like 3 or 4 in like the Sacramento area. And his thing was he was like, man, I'm pretty positive that one of those signs has my signature on the inside as being the person that inspected them to make sure that it was good to go. So he kind of said the same thing, like that same exact project. He was really cool and really happy about doing it because of the things that you guys had to do to get that project rolling and input. So
Yeah.
last question I have for you, real quickly.
All right. Time's up.
What's no we
I'm
got
just kidding.
just a couple more. One quick piece of advice for new grads. What do you got for them? Or I should say, yeah, new graduates and potential hires. What do you got for them?
All right. I think I've messaged this earlier. Government can be fun. Number one. We are looking at some of the latest and greatest technologies. You saw it in the drone video, but guess what? We're working on AI as well. Machine learning, that's part of it. Big data, connected and self-driving vehicles. You see that? That's part of the future. I rode in one recently, the Waymo cars. That's awesome. And being part of that revolution in transportation is something that I encourage others to seriously think about. And Caltrans will have to be part of it. We're the biggest infrastructure operator in the state.
Hmm.
I know you said one. The second thing is Caltrans is leader in this. I just came back from Phoenix. A lot of states, a lot of nations and countries, they look to Caltrans. Hey, what is Caltrans doing?
Hmm.
So there's a lot of influence that we have as a department, and I think we're what the fourth or fifth biggest economy in the world, the way
Fourth.
depending how you look at
Yep.
fourth. We're going to use the
Fourth.
fourth.
Yep.
A
What I
lot of
like to
things
tell a
are
lot of
going on
people,
here.
what I like to tell a lot of people, just to put it into perspective for us, Caltrans is the second largest state agency or state department, right?
Yes,
In the fourth largest economy in the world. So there's always going to be something going on, something happening for us, and it kind of that kind of relates to like exactly like you said. There's always going to be something going on because we are so big, and we forget that we're that big of a company. And the opportunities are endless. The projects are endless for us.
absolutely. And
All
so
right.
there's plenty of opportunities to innovate. And Russ, one thing I want to close out.
Yeah.
I didn't touch on as much. It's really about the people here too. You really have a true organization with family values here.
Mhm.
We care about each other. There are a lot of friends that I've made over the years just working in the organization, and the most important thing, we deeply care about each other.
Mhm.
Um, and we really look after each other in this department. And that's something that this culture that we have here at Caltrans is pretty unique. I haven't been in other places, but I've been reminded that there's quite a that folks that have taken and maybe have gone to a different organization or company. The culture here in this department is really awesome. So it's about innovation, it's about keeping people safe, and it's all about the people here. So thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, thank you, David. So we're gonna move on a little bit, and then David, feel free to chime in on a couple of extra slides that we got going on with some of your expertise. So now I want to get over a couple of things that our department offers in terms of benefits. So the state of California offers some really great medical, dental, vision, and retirement benefits. The retirement benefits are something that we definitely like to keep in mind as an employee with Caltrans. We also have amazing work-life balance for employees, along with a multitude of career development opportunities, like David was speaking on, and things like mentorship and leadership training. We aim to create leaders and provide employees with knowledge necessary to carry out their work confidently. David's a prime example of that, being able to further his education and continuous career development. Megan's going to drop a link in the chat box for our Cal HR with the salary and benefits for you guys to view. That goes into further detail about the real fine points of in and out of benefits that we have to offer. And the state also offers student loan forgiveness through the U.S. Department of Education. So for more information on that and eligibility requirements, Megan will drop another link in the chat box below. David, you ready for retirement?
I am. No, just kidding. I'm not ready for retirement, but it's coming up sooner than later. But I will say the benefits, though, I do have a little one. I'll share that. And Caltrans is the way they're structured, and like I said, the culture is helpful to having families as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm besides retirement, honestly, I'm looking forward to the lifetime healthcare benefits after after I retire. Because
It's there too.
having
Yes.
to see how much people are paying for healthcare benefits after retirement come from the private sector versus what we're going to be after uh, lifts a huge weight off of my shoulders. All right, so we're going to talk about this career ladder that we have here. I know at the top it says transportation engineer civil, but this is specifically for the transportation engineer classification. So electrical would fit into the same category as this. It's just your degree might be a little bit different, but pay scales would be the same. You'll flow right through in the same exact area. So you'll start off at a range A. If you have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering or an EIT, you'll be a transportation engineer civil. If you have an electrical engineering degree or a CIS, some of them can fit into it for a transportation engineer electrical for us. So you'll start within that pay range for range A. After a year in range A or 2 years experience plus a bachelor's degree, if you've got some work experience under you, you can qualify for range B or range C. And then once you get up there, you'll end up at the range D, but the range D does require the professional engineer's license or the PE, as we discussed earlier, which Caltrans had helped David get. Now, the road doesn't just necessarily stop here. You can promote up into senior. It goes senior and then principal, right, David? Or it goes
Office
senior.
chief.
Okay, yeah, senior and then office chief. So that would be further developing your career outside of this. These pay ranges are set for what it is right now. The pay ranges tend to change a little bit with inflation. So these do get adjusted accordingly every year. So it's not necessarily something where this is going to be set and this is where you're stuck at. We do account for it in the public sector as well for those inflations. So how to apply? This is kind of the biggest one for us because applying for a state agency is very different than applying for the public sector. Public sector, typically, sometimes you can just, hand over a resume and you don't necessarily have to fully fill out an application. I know one of my jobs that I had applied for previously was literally a resume and then a small one sheet of paper for an application. Or for us, we do have a 3-step process. It all starts with creating an account on calcareers.ca.gov. That's going to be the biggest part right there. Then you would take a transportation engineering exam based off of which classification you would qualify for or you're looking to get into. If it's a civil, you would take the transportation engineering civil exam. If it is electrical, you would take transportation engineering electrical. If it is an exam for a different job, let's say you're a computer science major, CIS major, and you're looking for an IT position with us, you would take an IT exam. Once you pass that exam, which is more like a self-assessment than an actual exam, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions to make sure you qualify for the position. Then you go ahead and start applying for the jobs within that position. We created a little bit of a cheat sheet. David, I don't know if you know about this from us yet. What we did over at Caltrans, we created actually a different website to help all of our new applicants be able to go through this process and be able to apply. It's way more interactive. It'll show you more pictures, more videos, so it'll actually help guide you more through the process, especially if you can't reach out to Megan or I or somebody from our team in the middle of the night, because sometimes you freshly get off of work or you get out of night class and then you want to start looking to apply, but you don't have anybody to reach out to. We've created this web page that Megan has inserted into the chat. We call it the Career Compass, where anybody will be able to go on there, and it'll help guide them through the application process. And this is something that we had launched about, what, Megan, three weeks now,
Yeah,
roughly?
3 weeks to about a month ago. Yeah.
Yeah, about a month ago we've launched it. So that's kind of been something that we're really proud of right there. And if you guys have any other questions on that, you guys can definitely reach out to us with that. So I do have one last question for everybody. Caltrans bridge inspectors are responsible for maintaining the safety and integrity of bridges owned by the state of California, as well as local government agencies. How many bridges do you think that encompasses for the state of California? Give you a hint. It's more than 10,000, but less than 50. So how many bridges do you think we're in charge of within the state of California? It's more than 10,000, less than 50,000.
Okay. Answers are coming in. I'm seeing 37,000, 36,780, very specific. 30K, 27, 35. Okay, a couple 40s.
Do you know the answer to this, Dave?
I do not know the answer. It's somewhere between 20 and 30,000. That's my understanding.
David's guessed 20 to 30,000. We got 25,000. 12K.
All right. So the actual answer is 26K. I did see somebody post that up there. David, you were right there in the range.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
There's a lot of
All
facts
right.
to remember, Russell.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. My brain is
Yeah.
full of facts, and the state this large.
Yeah. All right. So before we start this Q&A session, if you have any questions but need to leave, you can email us at askrecruitment, dot.ca.gov. Megan will drop that right into the chat box for you guys. So if you do have to leave, go ahead and reach out to us there. But with that being said, Megan, go ahead and start firing away a couple questions for me and David to answer real quick, whatever you're seeing inside that chat box.
All right. We had one earlier. The workload for electrical and civil engineers have evolved into incorporate IT expertise and experiences. Any suggestions or any personal development strategies that could be used to combat these roles? So any personal development strategies or things they should study, being that civil engineers and electrical engineers are using more IT. What suggestions do you guys have?
Okay. I'll be
There's a lot.
quick on that. I think IT is a very complementary field to the engineers here. IT supports a lot of things that I do. Our program does here at operations. But I think the key is, as you know, you probably see everything is moved towards that digital framework. Everything uses software now, and I think the two skills that really can augment your abilities here at Caltrans or even in other companies as well. A little bit of coding and scripting is very effective. Manipulating databases, those are just key effective skills that just really go across the board. So. And then secondly, in this field of intelligent transportations, just understanding the basics of telecommunications. How do we actually transmit information is very important. Understanding the wireless spectrum is key. You don't have to be a key. You don't have to know all the components in each of the boxes, but I think those are just some of the key skills that myself and others are definitely looking for related to information technology.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Okay, I got another one. I think this might be thrown at Russell a little bit. How
Okay.
long is the job application review process? Will a master's or PhD degree plus hands-on experience help with range A through D determination?
So I'll answer it in two parts, right?
Mhm.
So a master's degree and experience does take into effect in terms of what range you will be in. when I did showcase the slide, let me actually go back. Let's go back to it real quick. As you can see on the slide, depending on the amount of years of experience that you have outside, and for some of them, when we look at the MQs, when you click on it or the minimum qualification, it'll say stuff like a master's degree potentially could account for X amount of years or of experience. Having that advanced degree and having experience ahead of time could place you into a higher classification or a higher range, I should say, coming in from the outside in. So it's not like um, you you would automatically start at the bottom per se if you do bring years of experience into it. So there's that part right there. And I believe that was the second question they asked. What was the first part of that question?
How long is the job application review process?
Okay, so the job application review process can take some time. It just depends. It depends on the hiring manager and the hiring unit in itself. Um, each job that you guys apply for when you see it online is specific to a very specific branch, very specific department, and so on. And each one of those is dedicated to a specific hiring manager. Some hiring managers do take a little more time, are a little more thorough. Other hiring managers are move a little bit quicker. Sometimes the application, the number of applicants can be really, really high. So it does take a little more time to filter through those because of the sheer volume of applicants that you can get. Um, so it does vary. I've seen applications kind of begin or applicants begin being reached out to as soon as, you know, 3 to 4 weeks after final filing date has passed, depending on how big of a candidate pool they get. But I've also seen candidates begin to get reached out to, maybe 8 weeks, 9 weeks, depending on workloads or later. It does vary, unfortunately. I know that's the answer they don't want to hear in terms of it varying, but it does vary. And I just do want to reiterate on that. The clock does begin after the final filing date has passed. So that is the difference between us and the private sector. Private sector might post something up and they can make a hire while you're still applying versus us, where if we say you have up until, you know, 5/2/2024, we're literally giving you up until 11:59 and 59 seconds to hit submit on that application, or at least have it postmark dated by that date.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that. Okay, so I'm combining two questions into this one. It's people who have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering or maybe electrical engineering, but they're
Okay.
looking at the civil side,
Okay.
going through the pattern too. Also, those who have a out of country degree in civil engineering. How does
Mhm.
it look like for them going through a different pattern, getting into these engineering roles?
So mechanical engineering role, the thing with mechanicals, a lot of our mechanical engineers at the state tend to obtain their EIT. Once they obtain their EIT, they would then qualify to become a transportation engineer civil. So a lot of them do go that route. The same would apply for electrical engineers. If electrical engineer wanted to make that jump into civil engineering, that's the route that they can go as well. They would simply obtain the EIT, and then that would qualify them to be a civil engineer, transportation engineer civil, and they can advance their career that way. If you do decide to do that, my suggestion is do it while you're in school, obtain that EIT while you're in school. Not just necessarily because the information is fresh off of your head, but because you're already you're used to learning lingo, how I like to refer to it. When you take these exams, you're used to the verbiage that they're using already because you're already in that mindset versus having been out of school for so long and then having to retrain your brain onto that learning vocabulary or how they word things in a learning setting where you're gonna have to retrain your brain again. So it's a little bit easier from what I've been told by basically every engineer at Caltrans to try to get your EIT while you're in school. Um, so that was the first part, right? Megan, you said somebody with a mechanical and electrical engineering trying to get into civil. What was the next part of that one?
Somebody who
It
has
was
a
out of
degree in
country.
civil. Yep.
So with the out of country, you definitely can still come over to us. You just have to pass a couple of exams first. My suggestion would be to reach out to askexams@dot.ca.gov because they would be able to help further proctor and ensure anybody with, uh, let's say, non-ABET accredited degrees is what that I believe the technical term would be, non-ABET. So they would be able to go ahead and assist people with them. Typically, it's a what's called a hurdle examination for us. David, anything you have on what I was saying with those career paths and
Think you've got it right. EIT is really, really important. Regardless, sooner the better is helpful, just because there's a lot of material and breadth there. And yep, I have a variety of team members that actually have jumped back both sides, civil, electrical, vice versa. It's all possible here.
cool?
And there's a lot of folks that with foreign degrees, and yes, you got to go through the process to make sure that's certified, and there may be exam involved. So it's all possible.
Cool. Megan, we got time for about one more question and then we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day.
You got it. I'm getting questions about internships.
Okay.
Internships, not just engineering, but what they tend to look like with Caltrans.
All right. So I answered a lot of this question. So internships for us we refer to them as student assistant positions. Um, think of it as a part-time job. We don't necessarily do seasonal internships where like, hey, we only want you for the summer. We only want you for the winter. We're looking to keep you year round. So all of those internship positions are going to be posted on calinterns.org. I believe Megan's already getting ready to drop that into the chat. You would click on the button that says for students, then you click on the button that says jobs and filter it down to Caltrans. Couple things I want to note when you're on that page. Be sure when you're applying to pay attention to the location of the position because that website will showcase positions or internships / student assistant program positions up and down the entire state. So the last thing I want you doing is applying for something in a county or a city that's nowhere near you. Also be sure to pay attention to the degree that they are looking for. Some of them are specifically looking for a degree. And the reason why we say looking for the degree is because you're actually gaining some field work knowledge. So if you're a civil engineer, you're going to go out there and gain some civil engineering experience. Electrical engineer, gain some electrical engineering experience, IT, computer science, whatever your major may be. We even have business departments in like DPAC and procurements and contracts and certain things like that, where they're looking for student assistants and business majors would get valuable state experience working with the state. It's not, hey, make me 100 copies of this. Go get me some coffee. Go push this mail cart down there and just go give it to that guy in the far corner. It's not none of that stuff. You're actually gaining some work experience. And it is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 type of a situation. Hiring managers are very, very, very flexible with their students' availabilities. I believe you can work a maximum of, I want to say 25 hours during the school session, but then you can ramp it up to 40 during off season, so during summers. Our just main requirements are 2.0 GPA and enrolled in 6 semester units. So if you're able to showcase that you are enrolled in 6 semester units, either currently or fall the upcoming semester, have at least 2.0 GPA, you're good to go. David, do you have any student assistants with you right now?
Yes, our program has quite a bit in Sacramento, and they're all actually spread around the state. So, and I just will say that student assistants, they really do the work. You're not getting coffee. You're actually participating with the engineer, helping with calculations, and filling those gaps.
Yeah.
So it's really a helping hand, and just good to see how the feel of the whole organization and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and a lot of those student assistant positions to close out, a lot of those student assistant positions, they end up turning into full-time positions. Like those students typically end up staying with us if they want to. A position typically does open up. We had somebody recently that was working on projects with us, and literally, we actually had him as a guest speaker, and he was speaking on being a student assistant. And right before he went on and we went live for that seminar, he got a call that he was hired on full time with us. So it was kind of like a full circle moment for him to go from student assistant to working on projects with us that partook projects that we partook in that higher up executives, Mike Keever, Tony Tavares were part of those projects with us, and he was hands on in those projects. And then all of a sudden, now, hey, he's a full time employee. So all within probably 6 to 8 months, you know. So they're definitely great positions, and we encourage everybody to partake in those. So with that, that marks the end of today's CT Career Connection session. We just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your day to meet with us. Hopefully you learned something new. And if you did, we just want to thank you once again for taking interest in California Department of Transportation. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and at askrecruitments.dot.ca.gov. Other than that, you guys have a great day.